Right now, somewhere on Earth, there are weapons sitting in underground silos, loaded onto submarines cruising silently through the ocean, and strapped beneath the wings of bombers flying at 40,000 feet. Each one of these weapons is capable of erasing everything you see right now. Every building, every street, every living person within seconds. And I don't mean that metaphorically. Most people think they understand nuclear weapons. They've seen the images. They know Hiroshima happened. They know it was bad. But here's the problem. The bomb that destroyed Hiroshima, the one that killed 140,000 people and erased a city, that bomb, by today's standards, is considered small. What we built after that is something else entirely. To truly understand what modern nuclear weapons can do, we need to start with Hiroshima, not because it's ancient history, but because it is our baseline for comprehension. August 6, 1945. The United States drops a uranium bomb nicknamed Little Boy over Hiroshima, Japan. Yield 15 kilotons. That means the energy equivalent of 15,000 tons of TNT exploded in a fraction of a second, about 1,900 feet above the city center. Within a quarter mile of the blast, everything is vaporized. People, buildings, concrete, gone. Not destroyed, vaporized. And out to half a mile, virtually all structures collapse. The heat at this range reaches 7,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That is hotter than the surface of the sun. Out to 1 mile, almost every building is demolished. Fires ignite simultaneously across hundreds of acres. Out to 3 miles, severe blast damage. Windows shatter up to 12 miles away. By the end of 1945, approximately 140,000 people were dead. Many more would die in the following years from radiation exposure. And remember, that was 15 kilotons. The most common warhead on an American nuclear submarine today carries 475 kilotons. The W-88. This is the most powerful nuclear warhead currently deployed in the United States arsenal. It sits inside Trident II D5 missiles loaded onto Ohio-class submarines, submarines that patrol the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans right now in real time. The W-88 carries a yield of 475 kilotons. That is 31 times the power of the Hiroshima bomb. If a W-88 detonated over Midtown Manhattan, everything within a half-mile radius, complete destruction. The Empire State Building, gone. Grand Central, gone. Every human being, dead instantly. The fireball alone would be nearly a mile wide. Within a 2.5-mile radius, severe structural collapse. This covers most of Lower Manhattan, Hoboken, Long Island City. Tens of thousands dead within minutes. Thermal radiation, the searing heat pulse, would cause third-degree burns up to 7 miles from the blast. That reaches deep into Brooklyn, the Bronx, Newark. Within 10 miles, windows shatter. Debris becomes lethal projectiles. People as far away as Yonkers and Staten Island are knocked down by the pressure wave. And this is one warhead. A single Trident submarine can carry up to 20 missiles. Each missile can hold multiple independent warheads, each targeting a different city. One submarine, parked silently under 500 feet of water, could end human civilization as we know it. Now let's talk about the largest nuclear weapon ever actually detonated in human history. October 30th, 1961, a Soviet Tu-95 bomber flies over the remote Novaya Zemlya archipelago in the Arctic Ocean. It drops a single bomb attached to a 3-ton parachute to give the crew time to escape. The bomb falls, and 40 seconds later, the Tsar Bomba detonates. Yield 50 megatons. 50 megatons. That is 3,333 times the power of the bomb that destroyed Hiroshima. The fireball was 5 miles wide. The mushroom cloud rose 40 miles into the stratosphere, 7 times the cruising altitude of a commercial aircraft. The thermal pulse was so intense, it could have caused third-degree burns on human skin up to 62 miles away. The shock wave traveled around the Earth 3 times. Windows were shattered in Norway and Finland, over 600 miles away. Here is the terrifying footnote. The Tsar Bomba was actually scaled down from its original design. The Soviets built it to 100 megatons, but reduced the yield by half because they were worried the bomber crew wouldn't survive. They were right to be worried. Even at half yield, the pilot barely made it. And this weapon was tested. It worked. The technology exists and is understood. So how many of these weapons exist right now? According to the Federation of American Scientists and the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, here is the current global nuclear stockpile. Clean data cards appearing for each country. Russia, approximately 5,889 nuclear warheads, the largest arsenal on Earth. United States, approximately 5,244 warheads. Together, Russia and the United States control over 90% of all nuclear weapons on the planet. China, approximately 500 warheads, and growing rapidly. France, 290. United Kingdom, 225. Pakistan, 170. India, 164. Israel, approximately 90, officially unconfirmed. North Korea, an estimated 50, and actively developing more. Total, roughly 12,500 nuclear warheads. Globally, of those, approximately 3,900 are deployed, meaning they are actively mounted on missiles, loaded on submarines, or ready to be dropped from aircraft on short notice. And of those, roughly 2,000 are on high alert, meaning they can be launched within minutes of an order being given. Minutes, not hours, not days, minutes. Let's model a large-scale nuclear exchange. Not every warhead, just a fraction. Say, the United States and Russia each launch 1,000 warheads at each other's cities, military bases, and infrastructure. Roughly the scenario NATO and the Kremlin have wargamed for decades. In the first hour, 30 to 50 major cities on each side are hit. First responders, hospitals, emergency infrastructure, all gone in the same strikes. Within 24 hours, between 50 and 100 million people are dead directly from blasts, fire, and radiation. But that's not the end. That's just the beginning. The fires caused by thousands of simultaneous nuclear detonations would inject an estimated 150 million tons of smoke and soot into the upper stratosphere. This smoke, far above where rain can wash it out, would spread across the entire planet within weeks. Sunlight reaching the Earth's surface could drop by 70%. Temperatures would plummet by 10 to 20 degrees Celsius across most of the northern hemisphere. This is nuclear winter. Agricultural systems would collapse, monsoons would fail, the growing seasons for rice, wheat, and corn, the 3 crops that feed most of humanity, would effectively end for years, possibly a decade. A 2022 study published in Nature Food estimated that even a limited nuclear war between India and Pakistan, using less than 3% of the world's current arsenal, could trigger a global famine killing up to 2 billion people. A full U.S.-Russia exchange? The same study projects a death toll exceeding 5 billion. 5 billion people from a war between 2 countries. The most unsettling part of this story isn't the weapons themselves. It's how many times we have come this close to using them. October 1962. The Cuban Missile Crisis, Soviet nuclear missiles are discovered 90 miles from Florida. For 13 days, the world sits at the edge. What most people don't know, on October 27th, a Soviet submarine carrying nuclear torpedoes was being depth-charged by U.S. forces who didn't know it was there. The submarine had lost contact with Moscow. The captain believed war had already begun. He gave the order to arm the nuclear torpedo. Under Soviet protocol, that required agreement from 3 officers. One of them, a man named Vasily Arkhipov, said no. One man, one vote, one word. September 26, 1983. A Soviet early warning satellite reports that 5 American ICBMs are inbound. The duty officer, Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov, has minutes to decide whether to report an incoming attack triggering Soviet launch. He decides it's a false alarm. He was right. It was a satellite malfunction caused by sunlight reflecting off clouds. Norway launches a scientific weather rocket. Russian radar interprets it as a Trident missile. For the first time in history, the Russian nuclear briefcase is activated and presented to President Boris Yeltsin. He had 8 minutes to decide whether to retaliate. He stood down, barely in time. These are not rumored stories. These are documented events. And in each case, civilization survived because of one person's judgment. Here's the final number I want to leave you with. The entire combined firepower used in World War II, every bomb dropped, every shell fired, on every front for 6 years, totaled approximately 3 megatons of explosive energy. The United States alone currently has over 1,700 deployed nuclear warheads. Their combined yield is estimated to be over 1,000 megatons. We didn't just build weapons that could win a war. We built weapons that end the concept of war, because no one would survive long enough to claim victory. The thing that strikes me most about all of this is not the yields. It's not the blast radii or the radioactive fallout maps. It's this. Every single nuclear warhead ever built was authorized by human beings, designed by human beings. And every launch protocol in existence today still ultimately ends with a human being making a decision. We built the most powerful destructive tools in the history of life on this planet, and we are the only safeguard against them. That is the true scale of modern nuclear weapons. Not the megatons, not the blast radius, the fact that it all depends on us. If you found this video important, share it. The more people understand what actually exists, the more we demand the people in charge of it take it seriously.